Jensen.
Gikan sa tuna capital of the Philippines, General Santos. Nagsibya sa gikusgan ni 5,000 watts. Kini ang sibyaanan sa RPN.
RPN.
Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. DX 693 kHz. Ang inyong Radyo Ronda sa syudad sa mga kampiyon. Live to the world, pinaagi sa FB page. Karon, mag-download na. Pinaagi sa Google Play o Apple Store, YouTube o Twitter. Alang sa mas ipakuskan ng mga balita, komentaryo, kasayuran o kalingawan. DX Size 93, ang mas ipakuskan ng inyong Radyo Ronda.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
RPN. Radio Philippines Network. Jensen.
Aron makalikay sa disgrasyas kadalanan, sundon ang malaod trapiko. Pahimangnog gikan sa RPN Double DX Jensen. Atong tabangan nga maluwas ang nagtakusbat natong kinaiyahan. Pinagis pagpananom og kahoy, paglimpios palibot, pagsegregate sa mga basurang malata o dili malata. Katalingbanong pag-alagad gikan diri sa RPN Double DX Jensen.
RPN. Radio Philippines Network. Jensen.
Mga karonda, gusto mo bang maging bahagi ng boses ni Juan? Makiisa, makitrending at maki-issue.
This is CNN Philippines.
For being here, in spite of the fact that it's just Lisa here in the studio because of pandemic protocol. So let's begin with this. I wanted to ask about 2021. What big things, challenges, events happened in your lives in 2021? We'll begin first with Lisa and then go to the others who are joining us via Zoom. Lisa.
The challenge for me was really trying to manage the fact that I had a son who graduated from high school. Education, as you know, has been primarily online still. And it was difficult for my son because he was a graduating senior, so he missed a lot of the milestones that most seniors will have, like a live graduation and a prom and so many things. Even his exams were not done online. And that was one of the bigger challenges. And then not being able to get together with family as often as we would have liked, or, our family isn't even so large, but whenever we do get together, until now, we don't do it all together in the same house on the same day. We'll usually have to split it. My family will be there on one night, and then let's say Joe will come on another night with his family, and so we haven't had a large one. That's one of the challenges.
But you're still grateful, right? I mean, in spite of everything that's
Oh,
happened,
yes.
that still made us happy, no?
Yes, and I'm grateful to see how everyone, regardless of their where they are or where they're coming from, has tried really their best to adapt. And I'm especially grateful for the teachers in my children's schools, because I see that they have tried their hardest to continue to make learning possible for my children, and to make them not so traumatized, I guess, by the fact that we're still in the middle of a pandemic.
Let's ask Tito Joe and Joe, Michael, Franco, and Angelica the same question. Tito Joe, hi, Merry Christmas to you. Again, like I said, no, tradition, we can't do away with this. We always have to have this every Christmas. So for you, Tito Joe, and your other kids who are joining us via Zoom, what are you grateful for in 2021? What are those big things, big events that happened in your life in the last year?
Well, first of all, Pia, I want to thank you sincerely for having us every year, year after year. And, it's something that we look forward to every year. But to answer your question, the biggest challenge for me is running the business remote control. I have not flown to the south. I have not flown to Negros nor to Iloilo in 2 years. And, I talk to my people on the phone every day, 6 or 7 times a day. And then, of course, as Lisa mentioned, the challenge is getting the family together, because especially Christmas time, because to me, Christmas, the joy of Christmas is doubled when you spend it with your family. And it's tripled when you have your grandchildren with you. And thank God, Mary Ann and I have now been blessed with 8 grandchildren.
8. Okay, Michael, what about you?
Yeah, Pia, of course, COVID took center stage this year as well as last year. So I'm just grateful that our family are still in relatively good health, and we still have a chance, although not as often, to get together. So I'm grateful for those special moments. of family bond.
Angelica?
To say the same thing as Mike, COVID and its associated challenges has been very difficult for everyone. But I am very grateful for the old friendships and family that have managed to help and nurture the relationships and withstand test of time, test of distance, and new friendships that have developed despite the remoteness and isolation that we face today.
I was about to say the same thing, no? Old and new friendships. I mean, especially those you meet online. And I think there's a line you always say, and I say to them, I hope to meet you when this pandemic is over or when things are not as restricted. What about Joe, ikaw? The younger Joe.
Yeah. Pia, I would say that the biggest challenge is also what they were saying. So safety, keeping our families safe, and the schooling as well for the kids. So we have a daughter who we had to send abroad. So we took her there, and we're in constant communication with her, making sure that she's also practicing, distancing and staying safe as well. So,
Wow. So extra challenging, syempre, no? We're not just, parang there's not just distance here, even if you're in the same country, but when you have family members abroad and sending the kids abroad, no? It's like what? Parang tearing you apart, no, from them. Franco, what about you?
Very similar, Pia. I think the challenge really has been on a daily basis to try to find, to not lose the hope, I guess. In many ways, we still find ways, to laugh. And I think that always livens the spirit. Despite, as my dad said, it has been 2 years. We didn't think we'd get this far. I mean, we didn't think that 2 years, we'd always think that, maybe tomorrow will be better. But, in many ways, that sort of hopeful mentality, I guess, has sort of kept all of us and sustained all of us, which I think is a good thing. It's both a challenge and I guess a blessing, just to keep that hope.
Mm-hmm. Extra challenging, but still, like you said, no, an extra blessing. Syempre, like I was saying earlier, people look forward to your dad's songs, no, Tito Joe. People look forward to your songs, no, every Christmas, and not just in Christmas, no. So, and it was interesting the way you guys were able to, for like Christmas 2020, to do quarantine recordings, right? So, Tito Joe, just tell us a little bit about that. No, how challenging was that, and why did you feel it was so important for you to be able to do that?
Well, as Lisa mentioned, we had to partition our gatherings. For example, one of our traditional the traditional things that we do every Christmas is putting up our Christmas tree. When we all gather, all children and grandchildren, we decorate the Christmas tree with ornaments and decors that belong to each one of them throughout the years. I mean, we've had this same Christmas tree now for many, many years. And so putting up the Christmas tree is like looking at our family tree. But the past 2 Christmases, we have had to divide, like, okay, the first night, Lisa and her family, then the second night, Joe and his family, something like that. So, but it's still meaningful to us. And so it's important to keep that tradition going despite the global challenges.
A Christmas tree and a family tree. We'll be back after this very quick break with Jose Marichan and his children. Be right back.
Pagsaulog nato sa Kapaskuhan, hinaot unta nga naa sa matag usa ka nato ang spirit of giving, loving, and caring.
Christmas time comes around, I become a child again. Something about it just makes me feel young, like a child again. The time of year when there's magic in the air. Wherever I go, love is streaming everywhere. The people I meet on the street, I wanna greet them with a cheer. The first sign of Christmas begins on the first December morn. The reason for the season is baby Jesus being born. Forgive the hurts and disappointments of the past, and let us renew the ties with friends and make them last. It's great to be a child again at Christmas and all through the year. Time of year when there's magic in the air. Wherever I go, love is streaming everywhere. The people I meet on the street, I wanna greet them with a cheer. Forgive the hurts and disappointments of the past. Have your friends and make them last. Be a child at Christmas and all through the year.
Welcome back to this CNN Philippines Christmas tradition. Jose Marichan, or Tito Joe, to me and to many, and his children, Liza, Joe, Michael Franco, and Angelica, are joining us here in this Christmas special. So this question will go first to the Chan siblings, and I want to begin with those who are joining us via Zoom. So that would be Joe, Michael Franco, and Angelica. In the past Christmas episodes, our specials, I would always ask you about what were your Christmases like when you were kids, and you would make kwento about New York, for example, diba? And so many other places. But now my question is, what kind of Christmases do you give your own children?
What we do still is the Advent calendar. So our youngest still gets excited every day to open the door for that day. So, for example, December 15th, what is the surprise lurking behind the door of December 15th? And so it's a countdown until you reach December 24. So that's tradition that continued with our kids as well.
Michael, I'm sorry, Franco muna. Franco, what about you?
Well, naturally, I think you do what you know, right? So I think I've unconsciously been replicating the childhood I've had with my dad and my mom for the childhood that I'm sort of giving to my daughter and as my little growing family. I guess that's how traditions are made, no? I guess if I were to say that sort of togetherness, following the theme that Dad said. If togetherness has always been sort of a tradition, whether happy or sad, stupendous, or even simple ones, all of them are special. And I think that is one tradition that that I definitely am imparting, and I want my kid daughter to sort of get used to. No choice. Yeah.
Okay, well, Michael and Angelica pala don't have kids yet.
Not yet. That's right.
Pero madadagdagan din yan, yung 8 grandkids. So we're going to go to Liza now. Liza, tell us.
Well, when I was growing up, as you know, I grew up in New York, and it was really just our immediate family. And so a big part of my Christmas were the religious traditions. So since my eldest was a young kid, I would bring him with me to Simbang Gabi, Misa de Gallo, and I think my kids still look forward to that excitement of they're tired, but then I wake them up and I say, we have to go. And then I try to involve them also with serving. It's better this Christmas because we're actually able to go to physical mass. Because I think really, I want to stress with my children that that's the most important. reason for the season, right? I mean, it's not about the commercial Christmas, so we still do that.
That's true. Tito Joe, this Christmas, well, kanina you said na nga, no, you'd always have to like divide up the family, no? So Lisa's family first and Joe's for another, on other different nights. But this Christmas, what is it going to be like? Will you get together with the kids and the grandkids? Of course, given the pandemic, and then we have this new variant coming in. What are your plans?
Well, you know, I always stress upon my children that, especially because of this pandemic, the realization that the spirit of Christmas is giving and sharing. And so what better way, what better time to live that spirit of Christmas than now, because a lot of our people are suffering, a lot of people are unemployed, underemployed. And so in fact, in one of my songs that we all sang together, there's a portion there that that Franco sang, and I will let him now recite the words to that stanza of "I remember my Christmas when we went around." Frank, why don't you?
Yeah,
do us the honor?
it goes like that. It goes. I remember my Christmas when we went around.
Wait, why are you reciting it? Sing it na. Come on, let's hear that chant
I remember
voice.
my Christmas when we went around. My daddy drove us down to some orphans in town. We gave lots of goodies away. Lots of happy faces made our day. We learned that giving and sharing is the real Christmas way.
Wow, giving and sharing, the real Christmas way. We'll have more on this CNN Philippines Christmas tradition with Joe Mari Chan and his children on Newsnight. Stay with us.
Welcome to Our World, where we empower our customers to determine their personal path to financial success. Introducing the
Well, the pandemic has forced us to value what is really important. So the question here is, what gifts are you giving this Christmas? I know earlier you said, Tito Joe, what's really important about Christmas. But can you share with us what gifts are you giving each other, if that's if that's okay? Tito Joe, you first.
Okay, so kids, what are you going to give mommy and daddy this Christmas?
Baliktad. Oo nga naman. Oo nga naman. Sige. No, dapat Michael and Angelica should answer that question first. Sige nga, Michael. What are you going to surprise them with? Clue na lang, clue.
Well, I was just talking to Mike about it. And perhaps just the gift of time and presence.
Oh, that's nice.
Given how many people are suffering everywhere, all over the world, especially many of our countrymen. At least in my case, I will be giving donations to charity or gifts in kind. And again, time spent, especially with those that I haven't seen in very, very long. I think that this pandemic has taught us the importance of being present and there for each other in this time of crisis.
So nicely said. Michael.
Yeah, Pia. There are certain charities and foundations which are very close to the hearts of my dad and my mom. So even more now than ever, during this pandemic, it's important to support these charities and foundations, which will really have a very positive impact on those who are going through a lot of difficulties now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'll be more meaningful to our parents this time.
I love how your dad redirects the questioning. Tamang-tama eh. So, Franco, can you answer that question?
Yeah, very similar also. I mean, not charities definitely. Maybe a lot of them focus on the children because Christmas really is for the children as well. But I think another factor is that a lot of our religious institutions, many of especially our parishes and in churches haven't had masses in a long time, and for many times a lot of the donations there and the alms, they get a lot from just people who attend mass, and since we haven't had that in such a long time, we make sure to remember them. So many times, I think through the example of mom and dad, we would oftentimes give them donations in their name. So I guess the surprise is which donation it will be, which charitable institution it will be this year.
You guys are so sweet. Joe, the younger Joe,
Yeah, I would say the same also, Pia. A practice among our titas and titos has been recently that in lieu of Christmas gifts, if we could donate to a charity of their choice, of their choosing. And so that has been actually a lot of the gifts that we've been giving this December to the less fortunate.
And Liza, I'm sure you're going to say the same thing, but there's also an added layer here because, like your other brother, one of your kids is abroad, no? So
Yes.
ibang klaseng Christmas to.
Yes. That's my son. Unfortunately, will not be with us this year. He will be the missing member of the family. So
don't cry.
Yeah. Thank God though for technology.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I studied abroad after college, I would be counting my quarters or my, to feed into the pay telephone, right?
Yeah.
But now we're spoiled. And so yesterday, I spoke with my son and I was saying, well, how are you? And, did you do this? And make sure that you pay for this bill. And then he just mentioned very casually, oh yeah, I spoke with Lolo and Lola. They called me and they call me regularly and they're asking how I am. So at least we feel reassured that we have that, because it's hard to travel now with the pandemic, right? You have quarantine and then testing. And so it makes it prohibitive to travel as easily as we used to do before.
So thank God for technology, like you said, no? I mean, the very thing that we thought kept us apart before the pandemic is the one that's keeping us together. So thank you for that, especially in pag-Christmas time, no? When it's so important for Filipino families to be together, families all over the world, syempre. Final words na lang from Tito Joe. We'd love to hear from you, your Christmas message.
Well, I really hope and pray that this pandemic will soon be over So I keep praying to Saint Joseph and to Mother Mary to help us. But anyway, I want to go back to your question. And the first thing that I want to do is to protect the people working for us, our employees. They're the first that you have to. And then of course you also help your parish churches. I'm talking now to the audience. Your parish churches need your help much more than ever. So I want to wish everyone a truly blessed Christmas, complete with God's loving blessings of good health, prosperity, and joy in your hearts. And I really hope, Pia, that this election we will be able to choose a leader with the help of God, that the leader who will have the vision to lift our country so that our people will have productive and better lives.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jose Marichan or Tito Joe. Thank you very much, and a Merry Christmas to you and to your children, of course, Liza, who's here in the studio, Joe, Michael, Franco, and Angelica. This has been a CNN Philippines Christmas tradition with Jose Marichan and his children here on Newsnight.
Christmas is wearing a smile on its face, setting the world aglow. Christmas is blessing some old lonely place with all the gifts to show.
Carols that float in the air day and night, and candles that burn with a warm, friendly light. But more, even more than all the above, I know this is true. Each day of the year can be Christmas if love is the gift from you.
When the season comes to an end
and the New Year's just round the bend,
though they'll take down the tree as always,
and the bright trimming off the hallways, Christmas will linger for always. Let love be the gift from you. Carols that float in the air day and night, and candles that burn with a warm, friendly light. But more, even more than all the above, I know this is true. Each day of the year can be Christmas if love is the gift from you.
when the season comes to an end
and the New Year's just round the bend,
though they'll take down the tree as always,
and the bright trimming off the hallways, Christmas can linger the whole year through. It's you that can make this true. Let love be the gift from you.
Una sa balita. Musika o kalingawan. Mas tulong pinalakas. Radyo.
Mga balita sa Kapitolyo sa Sarangani.
Governor Solon naghalad sa Ginoo sa kalampusan sa Monato Festival ug sa padayong proteksyon, kalinaw ug kalambuan sa Sarangani Province. Taga Kiamba nga nakadaog og brand new Yamaha motorcycle nga online raffle sa Monato, perting Lipaya. Subling naghalad ngadto sa Ginoo ang gobernador sa probinsya sa Sarangani tungod sa kalampusan sa Monato Festival ug sa padayong proteksyon, kalinaw o kalambuan sa tibok probinsya sa Sarangani. Gipangunayan ni Governor Solon ang pag-ampo ato sa magarbuhon nga 29th Foundation Anniversary o 19th Monato Festival via virtual. Dili bag-o sa mga residente sa Sarangani Province ang kinaiya sa gobernador nga mo'y mangunay o voluntaryo nga gaampo sa mga panagtapok bisan sa mga meeting kauban ang mga department head sa Kapitolyo, Asembleya sa mga barangay ug sa mga panagtigom, kuyog ang mga dagkong opisyal sa gobyerno. Mapasalamaton si Governor Solon nga padayong giproteksyonan sa kahitasaan ang Sarangani gikan sa kalamidad. Batyag matud pa sa katawhang sarangan nga adunay Ginoo sa taliwala gumikan ni angat ang Sarangani Province alayon sa gihandom niini nga God-centered prosperity. Gidayeg nini ang hugot nga panaghiusa ug pagtinabangay sa mga opisyales og lumulupyo gikan nila Senador Manny og Congressman Roel Pacquiao, Vice Governor Elmer de Peralta, tanang board member, mga maabtikon nga mayores, vice-mayores, konsihales, barangay kapitanes, barangay kagawads, mga purok og city official, bisan na ang mga frontliner og ang tri-people, ang Kristiyano, Muslim og lumad. Hinungdan nga nagpabilin nga pinakagamay nga napatyan og natakdan sa coronavirus ang Sarangani Province sa entero Region 12 og sa tibok Pilipinas. Samtang hilabihan ang kalipay sa 22 anyos nga minyo nga babae, taga barangay Badtasan, Kiamba nga si Maria Colien Galing. Tungod siya ang naswertihan nga napili sa online paraffle sa Monato Festival. Naangkon og nadawat na nini ang brand new Yamaha site motorsiklo nga kumpleto sa mga papilis. Wala niya damhang nga siya ang makadaog sa libuan ka mga online netizen nga ni partisipar. Gani kung lantawon ang Facebook page, niabot og 11,000 views ang nilantaw sa opening program sa Monato Festival, 10,000 views sa Sarangani Got Talent, 12,000 views sa Quiz Monato, 12,000 views sa Virtual Pakulo, 37,000 views ni Saksi sa Monato Queen Beauty Pageant og 96,000 views ang nakigduyog sa selebrasyon sa Jesus Reigns. Daghan pang palipay ang gibuhian sama sa mga cellphone, tablet, pocket wifi, cellphone load og cash. Dako nining ipasalamatan si Governor Solon sa pagmugna og mga kalingawan alang sa Foundation Anniversary sa Sarangani bisan sa pandemya og sa Step C Sarangani Tourism and Investment Promotion Center. Gidumalahan ni Ms. Langlang Purisima, Sarangani Provincial Tourism Council sa pagpanguna ni Ma'am Michelle Lopez Solon, Sulong Kabataan Program, Sulong Tribu Program, ang IT team, mga lively host o mga banggitang performer. Nahimong muna to Queen si Meryl Kate Angeline Paraluman, ang garbo sa Alabel. First runner-up si Angelo Jane Bunkin, taga Maasim, o ang second runner-up taga Maitom nga si Jessel Ann Ramos. Pang world-class performance pod ang ipakitang video sa mga empleyado sa LGU Malapatan sa natigayon nga Sarangani Got Talent. Niabot na karon sa 32,000 views sa Facebook. Ang LGU Malapatan ang gideklara nga champion o first runner-up. Ikatulong pwesto ang LGU Maasim nga aduna na usab 11,000 views. Dia ang nakadaog sa motorsiklo Maria Collian galing, taga Badtasan, Kiamba.
Wala din ko nag-expect ma'am sa kadagan sa nag-join, murag dili siya katuuhan ba. Kung mabunot na akong pangalan, verify din kong pag-ayo. Nagpasalamat po especially kay Governor Sid Chongden Tulun o sa mga staff na nagbuo ato na programa tong Monato Festival. Dako dito akong pasalamat.
Mga balita sa Kapitolyo sa Sarangani.
Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. DX General Santos. DX General Santos. Una sa balita. Una sa balita. Balita. Musika o kalingawan. Mas tulong pinalakas. Radyo.
This is CNN Philippines.
Surged to almost 400. Super Typhoon Odette left a trail of destruction in areas that were teeming with tourists just weeks before. Survivors are desperate for food, water, electricity, supplies. But all these, nothing new. In a country that's among the most vulnerable in the world to climate change, citizens can't help but expect more disaster preparedness and response from the government. Good evening, I'm Pia Ontiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. Our first guest tonight, the Public Information Officer of Dinagat Islands, Jeff Crisostomo. He is representing Governor Kakabag-Ao. Good evening, Jeff. Thank you for joining us. You're joining us from Butuan, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Pia.
Yeah, but you're on your way back to Dinagat, right?
Yes, tomorrow. We're accompanying some foreign dignitaries who wish to help Dinagat Islands and provide relief.
Okay. What are the latest numbers, Jeff? Let's begin with that, no? Yung casualty count.
Yes. Right now, I just received recently the report. We have 21 casualties from the 7 municipalities of the province. We have 13 major injuries and 201 minor injuries. And then we have only 1 missing person.
All right. And in terms of devastation, mga sirang mga bahay, buildings, etc., how bad is it in Dinagat Islands?
Yes. If we're going to count partially to totally damaged houses, it's 100%. Even the governor's house was not spared. Her whole roof collapsed. And in terms of totally damaged houses, we have 14,000 households out of 23,000. All the rest were partially damaged.
Are the residents of Dinagat Islands going hungry?
Yes, ma'am. We're running out of food and potable water. That is food and water are the things we're asking for from donors right now. Those are our immediate needs from relief organizations, humanitarian organizations, and even from our national government, of course.
Okay. Well, when you say food and water, food, for example, because people will send sacks of rice, but if you don't have water and if you don't have the means to cook the rice, how would you eat it? So paano yun?
Yung mahalaga po, we need water filtration units that would purify water. We have several water sources for drinking water. We have rivers that can be used that just need to be filtered so that they could be safe to drink. Mm-hmm. And then we have we actually need more rice because our rice during the typhoon got wet. So we can't distribute them now to the people, our prepositioned goods.
All right. And what else is happening there? Like you said, you need food and water, but what else is happening? What else is needed?
Yes. Right now, since after the typhoon, we still don't have electricity or telecommunications, but we have restored partial connectivity, 2G connectivity in some areas. In the municipality of Tubahon, one of the far-flung municipalities in the north, one of our projects, Governor Kakabag-Ao's project, satellite internet with Ateneo de Davao, it's still intact. So they were able to communicate into the outside world only today when they were able to get a generator set to power the satellite dish. And then in the capital municipality, since Surigao City now has signal finally, panasasaga po namin yung signal papunta sa San Jose, sa capital po, from Surigao City. But we still need more repairs for telecommunication infrastructure. Globe and Smart have already been contacted and they have committed to send people, engineers, to fix their equipment and their infrastructure.
There was enough warning, Jeff, hindi ba? Pag-asa did say what kind of a typhoon this would be, or kulang ba yun? Were people caught off guard?
Actually, we weren't, because we already knew that it would intensify to a Category 4 typhoon.
Well,
So
US
we
said
already
Category
had-
5.
Sorry, Category 5.
Oh.
Preemptive evacuations were already made long before signal number 1 was declared. So the only evacuations we had to do were the forced evacuations, but there were only few who needed to be evacuated involuntarily.
Okay.
So right now, most of our people who were in the evacuation centers, they also suffer the brunt of the typhoon, because our evacuation centers, even if they were well built, and some of them were brand new, were just turned over by the DPWH to the provincial government. The roofs also were blown away.
My God. Okay. Jeff, a typhoon in itself, as we all know, is not a disaster. It's a natural hazard exacerbated by climate change, but also by the fact that we fail to prepare. And of course, I'm not referring to relief goods or rescue teams on standby, but to disaster mitigation measures. So would you say that Governor Kakabagao and the LGU, and your LGU, can you say that your LGU, with the actions you've taken and the policies you have in place, did not in any way contribute to the disaster?
Yes, we can definitely say that. Governor Kakabagao has always been an advocate of climate mitigation. Our programs are centered on conservation of the environment, as well as ensuring that our disaster risk reduction and management were in sync with the goals and the values of conservation and climate change mitigation. In fact, our DRRM office in the province is actually an award winner when it comes to disaster risk mitigation and climate change action. So we were really prepared when it came to the typhoon, but the strength of the typhoon was actually, we didn't expect that it would be that strong. Even buildings collapsed because of the strong winds. They were torn like paper.
Well, other people in other areas describe it as some kind of a mini Yolanda, and that's what Governor Artiap of Bohol is going to say. I'm going to speak to him in just a bit. May pagka-Yolanda ito, hindi ba?
Medyo po. Actually, we were saying that it was reminiscent of Yolanda, but if not, it was much worse. Because in Yolanda, we didn't have much property damage, and we had 0 casualties during that time.
Right.
So we had that same kind of preparation, even better than our preparation in Yolanda. So this is really, I don't know, it's something that we couldn't really predict, but even if we couldn't predict it, we knew that we had enough preparation and it shows also in the very relatively low casualty count. But for us, 1 death in any disaster is 1 death too many, of course.
Of course.
But still, we express our condolences to the families of those who lost their loved ones.
Well, of course, we hope that help gets to you as soon as it can. Thank you very much for joining us. The Public Information Officer of Dinagat Islands, Jeff Crisostomo, speaking for Governor Kakabagao. I'll be back after a quick break. Stay tuned.
This is CNN Philippines.
Welcome back. This is Politics as Usual. From Dinagat Islands, we now go to Bohol, also heavily hit by Typhoon Odette. We speak to Governor Arthur Yap. Governor Art Yap, thank you very much for being with us. Describe to us first the situation. You said, you will say that this was like a mini Yolanda, your own house destroyed, or, umabot sa second story yung tubig.
That's true, Pia. Thank you very much for having me and Bohol in your program. Yes, I will say that It is the mini Yolanda in scale, but the Yolanda that we never really went through because nung panahon ng Yolanda, ang dinaanan yung Region 8, we were actually spared from that. The impact on Bohol during the Yolanda period was the extensive blackouts because we are interconnected to Region 8. But in this case, what has been visited upon us is not only the blackout because the power was cut. We're connected to Region 8, naputulan kami ng kuryente ngayon. But dinaanan pa kami ng bagyo. You have to remember that Yolanda was about 235 kilometers per hour sustained winds.
Yeah.
And this typhoon was at 200 with gustiness of around 240. So parang nandun na rin. And the situation is really bad because nung naputulan kami ng kuryente, and we've been on blackout for since Typhoon Odette hit landfall here in Bohol. Since that day, naputulan kami ng kuryente, pagsaka mga transmission lines, bumagsak rin yung communication lines namin. So we couldn't even talk to each other. We couldn't talk to the mayors. We didn't know what was happening. We didn't know where to direct help. And 2 days into the typhoon, we only talked to 21 out of our 48 mayors. It was only yesterday that we got to talk to our 48 mayors, or about 3 days after the typhoon left. So what happened, Pia, was bagsak ang communication lines, bagsak rin yung power lines. Without power, our refilling stations don't work. So wala kaming tubig ngayon. So that's the reason why we're asking for generators and we're asking for water supplies, water refilling trucks in Bohol right now. This is an island of 1.4 million people. And
earlier, Gov.
75,000.
Earlier, kausap ko, Gov. Art, si Jeff Crisostomo, PIO of Dinagat Islands, and he was saying that people in Dinagat Islands are going hungry. Is that what is happening also there in Bohol?
Yes, when I was listening to the Dinagat report, it's like it's very much characteristic of what is happening here. There are just some very important key nuances. In terms of size, this is 1.4 million people. So, grabe yung problema dito. Not to say that we are not sensitive to the plight of our fellow Filipinos who are undergoing the same tragedy. But iba talaga yung natamaan yung buong island mo at meron pa kami, and that's about 4,000 square kilometers of land. And then I have about 65 island barangays in northern Bohol. And they're grabe ang impact Pia, because we're talking about people na nawalan sila ng livelihood because wala na yung mga fishing gears at saka yung mga bangka nila. Their homes are destroyed and they have no water because there's no fresh water in the islands. You get that from the mainland. But there's no fresh water from the mainland because there's no power. And another thing that I've been saying is that the distribution utilities here don't have the capability to even fix their transmission lines. That's why I've been asking for boom trucks to come and help them at least clear the debris from the roads and clear the concrete lines that have collapsed to the national roads, so we can turn 1-lane passable roads into 2-lane passable roads, and they don't have that capability. That's why I've been asking for support from the national government, the LGUs.
Well, are they sending those boom trucks, for example?
Well, we have yet to receive that assistance, but I hear that Meralco has expressed interest. Maynilad has also expressed the interest in sending truck and water refilling capabilities. But the question is, it's a race against time.
Right.
Water, food are so fundamental and basic, and we're entering day 5 tomorrow. And many communities, we've just started to distribute food packs and water in what little way that the provincial government can, considering all our funds are depleted. And so because of COVID, and so we continue to ask the DSWD to please send us at least the financial assistance to capacitate us to immediately buy from groceries and supermarkets here and directly order from suppliers what food and water we can distribute to our people.
Kanina lamang, Gov. Art, at around 6 p.m., ang death toll nyo was 97. Right now, we're approaching 9 in the evening. 97 pa ba or tumaas na?
Tumaas na po to. We are already at 99, 16 missing, injured 189. And at least this one I can say that the forced evacuation measures must have worked, because in Yolanda we saw that the death toll there was upwards of 6,000. So this is nowhere near the 6,000. 99 dead, missing 16 and injured 189. It is still a tragedy. One death is one death too many. But even so, I feel that the preventive forced evacuations that the mayors did for the 48 municipalities worked.
Gov Art, my last question, a typhoon of course, and this is something I'd asked Jeff Chrysostom of Dinagat Islands a while ago. A typhoon in itself, not a tragedy really, not a disaster, but it's a natural hazard, and if we fail to prepare for it, and not just by relief goods or rescue teams on standby, by disaster risk reduction mitigation measures. And I wanted to ask if the local government of Bohol, can you say that you had been able to focus on the DRRM so that we don't have situations like this, a natural hazard turning into a disaster, no?
I think, Pia, that dealing with super typhoons should be the benchmark. We in the Philippines are one of the most climate vulnerable countries, no? And we go through an average of 22 tropical cyclones in a year. But for me, my takeaway here is I shouldn't be looking at the average. I recommend all our provinces must be looking at the Typhoon Odette, Typhoon Yolanda type of a benchmark. And so in that respect, I say that I'm going to be looking at this more seriously. And I have to go back to the drawing table and discuss this with the mayors on how to climate-proof Bohol in the coming days. I feel it's not that we did not, we failed, but I believe that we could have done better, and we will be doing better in the coming days. We are going to be reassessing what happened to Bohol in the aftermath of Super Typhoon Odette.
That's very good to hear. Governor Art Yap of Bohol, thank you so much for your time, and we do hope that you get the help you need right away. Maraming salamat sa iyo. More from our guests when we return. This is Politics as Usual. We're on our final stretch. Tonight, we also have Palawan Governor Jose Alvarez and PNP spokesperson Colonel Roderick Alba. But we speak first to Governor Alvarez by phone. Sir, thank you very much for joining us. Kanina lang po, kausap ko po si Governor Art Yap ng Bohol. And he was saying that it took days before they could contact all 48 towns of Bohol. Kayo po, Governor Alvarez, you have 25 municipalities. Na-contact niyo po ba lahat na? At alam niyo na po what is happening on the ground?
23 lang, ma'am.
23, sorry.
23 municipalities. We have 12 and a half island municipalities.
Okay. Pero na-contact niyo na po lahat? And
Napuntahan ko po kahapon yung San Vicente, and then I overflow over the affected. 6 lang po yung badly damaged namin ng mga municipalities.
And these
Nakita
6...
ko po yung devastation from the air.
Yung 6 na po yun, kasama na po yung Rojas kung saan state of calamity.
Yung badly damaged ang Rojas. Then south of Rojas going to Puerto Princesa. Doon marami pong landslide. Yung hagupit ng Typhoon Odette, you will never believe. I was in the Yolanda aftermath nung November 9. Immediately after November 8, November 9, I was already in Coron. But Yolanda was lesser. The devastation ng Odette sa amin is grabe.
Kanina rin, sinabi rin yun ng PIO ng Dinagat Island, sinabi rin yun ni Art Yap. Sabi nga ni Art Yap, parang mini Yolanda ito. Would you say the same thing?
No, this is larger. What hit us in Yolanda was only the Coron side and the Busuanga side of the northernmost. Parang ngayon, dahil sa amihan, parang tinulak itong bagyo na ito down southward. So tinamaan natin, ang unang-unang tinamaan yung, of course, dumaan lang sa Cuyo Islands, pumunta sa Araceli. Yung Araceli is also an island municipality sharing the same island with Dumaran Island. Dumaran municipality. So, yung Dumaran po, ate yun, isa sa mainland, isa po sa island. Doon po ako kahapon galing. I was almost 3 hours in the air. Nakita ko po yung devastation. But I could not go down because I have to come back to Manila, to come to Manila today just to submit the reports of our video clips and your, pati yung mga situation report namin ng before the typhoon and after the typhoon. Ando na po, binigay ko na kay General Manager Escalada, hoping that he will immediately act like the Yolanda NHA assistance to Palawan. The day after dumating ako sa Coron, on the 10th, November 10th, of that 2 days after the Yolanda, nandoon yung 17 million daladala ni Congressman Chicoy. And then meron din akong dalang cash na 13 million galing sa probinsya po. Immediately pinamangagi namin doon sa nakita namin na bahay. Kasama na namin yung DSWD, kasama namin yung kuha with pictures. Kung ang bahay mo 10,000 to our estimate, bibigyan ka kagad 10,000 pag sa sakong bigas to rebuild. That's why in Yolanda, December Christmas, we already were lighted up. Nawala na pong kasi tinulungan din kami ng mga taga-Mimaropa. In November, naayos po namin ang kuryente.
Pero ang difference po ngayon, Yolanda, November, so like you were saying, before Christmas, okay na. This is like 2-3 days before Christmas.
Kaya nga masaglap na masaglap. Talagang. At saka, the power of Odette, Ma'am Pia, I will describe to you. I will send you our trip, our flash drive tomorrow if you want. Yung mga nyug, hindi lang natumba yung nyug dahil naputol. Na-uproot talaga yung nyug. Napakaraming nyug na naputol.
Governor, can you tell us also, yung casualty count po ninyo, how many so far?
As of yesterday, nung bago ako bali, kanina umaga, madaling araw, sa Rojas, mayroong 22 missing. Yung sa Puerto, hindi pa nila ma-ascertain. Wala po kami signal, walang kuryente sa Puerto Princesa, wala rin tubig. Luckily, yung may mga bumba, may mga generator, meron silang tubig.
Okay. Governor, my final question na lang po to you. Sana briefly na lang po yung sagot, no? Because, syempre, ang local governments, you are responsible for how you implement disaster risk reduction mitigation measures, no? Would you say that you had been responsible for that you were able to do what you needed to do para ang ang bagyo kasi hindi naman po yun disaster ang disaster doon kapag we fail to prepare, no? Were you able to prepare?
We forewarned 2,600 families to evacuate immediately.
Pero bukod po sa bukod po sa pre-positioning relief goods, bukod po sa evacuation, yung pagpapatayo ng mga bahay, mga gusali, mga infrastructure, in other words, yung mga disaster risk reduction mitigation measures po ninyo, Governor, nasa maayos po na kalagayan?
Ma'am, I could say na hindi po natin mapilit yung mga wala talagang pera. They are mostly fisher folks living in the shoreline. Yun ang na-warned namin. Ngunit yung mga bahay po nila, hindi talaga matitibay. And these places were not visited by typhoons before. Only doon sa northern part. First time po ito na in 25 years na tinamaan itong Puerto Princesa and northwards to Rojas.
All right. Governor Jose Alvarez of Palawan. Sir, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Still, the Philippine National Police, the spokesman, Colonel Rod Alba. Colonel Alba, kanina po as of 6 p.m., 375 ang death toll na meron po kayo. Is it still 375 or tumaas na po ba ito?
Good evening, Ma'am Pia. Actually, there is already a policy statement ng ating butihing Secretary of the DILG na the giving of this data will now be centralized po, no, sa ating NDRMC. So what we're doing now is we're just submitting all this data and this is subject for validation na po yung ng ating Office of the Civil Defense, the DILG and the DSWD. What the PNP is focusing now po, Ma'am Pia, is doon po tayo sa pag-locate, no, ng mga missing persons and to support doon sa rescue and retrieval operations po.
All right, so you are not going to release any more figures, 375 as of 6 p.m. But at the very least, Colonel Alba, can you tell us the PNP figures? Yung 375 din as of 6 p.m., 375 pa po ba ngayon na mag-aalas 9 ng gabi or tumaas na po siya?
We cannot give you the exact number of
Yeah, don't give us
ma'am,
the exact number. Just say, tell us kung tumaas na siya.
Sa ngayon po ay what we can tell you is that itong mga numbers na ito ay fluid po. Pabago-bago, mayroong pagbaba, mayroong pagtaas. Dahil po yung ating ibang communication lines with our unit ay hindi pa talaga stable, ma'am, sa
okay.
moment.
Alright. Pero lampas na po ba na 400? Or are we close to 500?
No, below that.
Below 400?
Yes po.
All right. Colonel Alba, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'm sorry we ran out of time, but thank you still. So we want to thank all our guests, Palawan Governor Jose Alvarez, Bohol Governor Art Yap, the PIO of Dinagat Islands, Jeff Crisostomo, representing Kakabag-Aw, and PNP spokesman, Colonel Rod Alba. You know, we have this usual extra about talking politics here at this table, but not tonight, not with this aftermath of a mini Yolanda Typhoon Odette, Super Typhoon Odette. This is Politics as Usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. See you back here next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m.